Hi there, and welcome to today's absolutely fantastic high energy episode with Megan Holly. Megan is a very fiery entrepreneur. She is serving heart centered individuals, helping them with branding photography, helping them empower not only if they have a business, but finding their confidence, their humanness, assisting them to level up their brand, their message, their impact. Megan is a bundle of joy, such a beautiful energy. We talk also about health and well being and finding abundance and confidence. It is a juicy episode, but most importantly, it's such a good vibe episode. So, if you're ready for some really good vibes, let's go in and listen.
Before we jump into this high energy conversation that we've just had, this little reminder about our newsletter, and you can get the link in the descriptions below. We only send out one twice a month, so you don't get bombarded by it. But we put little tips in and advice and stuff we have got from our guests because they have shared so much information, and the newsletter is all about us and our guests. So it's coming from a human. Plus, please don't forget to subscribe, to follow, hit the notification button, share, do whatever you can to please help us share the wisdom that we've been getting from our guests, to share what has been shared with us so that you can have the experiences or be immersed in conversations. But now let's get on with this really great conversation that we had with Megan.
Hi, Megan, how are you?
I'm good, Lenka. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you here as well. So please tell us, our listeners, a little bit about yourself. What really gets you going in the mornings? What really excites you? What is it that you're so passionate about that you can't wait to share with us here on the podcast?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that because it's something that, we all need to have something to keep us moving in the mornings. I love that, the way that you said that. For me, so hello everybody, I'm Megan Holly. From a title standpoint, I'm a branding photographer, coach, and speaker as well. I like to say that I work with the human spirit. I love seeing people just be themselves or cultivate who they're becoming. And so a lot of my work gets to see that happening, whether it's in a coaching experience or in front of my camera, which is the really cool one because you can see people kind of shift a lot within that. But what gets me up in the morning is being able to find and seek out joy. I am a sunbeam chaser. So I am always looking for, a little. Right now, there's sunshine, thank goodness, because it's so chilly out. And you can see just sparkles coming off of, glass and this. And I'm always looking for that. I'm big on dancing and movement in your day. That's what keeps me going or gets me going. Even on my worst days, that's where I go to. So joy, sunshine, rainbows, those are the things. It's so simple and they seem a little frivolous and trivial, but I find when we find the simple things in life, it's what can kind of motivate us to move into the harder parts of life.
Oh, totally agree. The sunshine, the good tunes, the good dance party in the morning when you're waiting for your coffee or out and about on a walk, just getting some nice sun rays, wearing something sparkly. Why not just be,
Yeah.
just really, and as you said, embrace the little things. Absolutely love that. But you did say that you are a brand photographer. And oh gosh, the moment someone says they're a photographer, that's just people often become pale and they're like, oh, I don't like my photos being taken. Yeah, I know I should have new headshots done, but oh, it's the hustle and I don't feel like myself and I just don't like looking at myself. So tell us a little bit about how is your process then working with clients? What is your philosophy? What is your approach to making people not only comfortable on camera, but really capturing their essence? Because we're luckily in the world where we are allowed to share genuine, authentic, fun, creative photos. We're no longer the traditional passport, simple background, sitting headshot stage, but then finding the uniqueness to represent a brand in a visual way. that's a talent, that's a passion, that's a skill. And I would love to get a little bit more into your process of how do you work with people, A, to make them comfortable, and B, to really figure out what would be the thing that will showcase them in the best light so then others can really get the feel for who they are.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really great question. And it's something that, right, I've kind of cultivated over time too. Getting into the work that I do, I didn't really know just the beautiful world that was opening up for me. Because like many photographers, I started out doing all the things, kiddos and weddings and all of it. And when I found kind of this kind of arena, if you will, it just lit me up because seeing people go from so self-conscious to maybe a little less self-conscious to owning themselves, and everybody's at a different space. And I always say I meet people where they are. I'm going to have a lot of, like you said, people who are uncomfortable in their skin, and I do, and feel like, oh, and the thing I hear the most is I don't take good photographs, or I never like a photo of myself. When I look back at photos, I cringe. This is the things that I hear on a regular basis, and it hurts my heart because every person, everybody, every single human on this planet deserves to be seen. And we are at a space and time where I think it's just the human condition. So, 200 years ago, I think we would have still, even without the same technology and the same presence we have, people would be self-conscious of themselves. That's not going away, and it never is going to be depleted completely, right? But I do feel like because of the society we live in, the times that we're in, we are even more self-conscious. And so it hurts my heart when I hear people say this. And my mission is to help them see themselves as we see them. Because the mind's eye, or even when we look in the mirror, we see something that sometimes isn't the truth, right? We look and we are analyzing, we are kind of super zooming into that wrinkle on our eye or the thing about ourselves that we just don't feel comfortable in right now. But most people, when they're looking back at you, are not looking at that. And they're celebrating the things that are beautiful, the sparkle in your eye, the smile that you have when you laugh really hard, the wrinkle in your nose when you are just giddy. That's what people actually see, but we don't think that. As humans, we are always in there. So my process is really simple. It's meeting people where they are and allowing them to feel shy, scared, nervous, uncomfortable, but then kind of leading them, taking them by the hand and saying, let's have fun with it. I have had dance parties in the middle of sessions to, let people loosen up. We stopped and having a conversation and just talked a little bit. I always tell people it's kind of like we're hanging out more than it is me just staring down the barrel of my camera, just putting you on the spot. And so my process is really nothing stringent or structured. It just really is allowing people to be human and letting them know that I feel awkward too. Sometimes even behind the camera, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling a little, not myself or not perfectly, in the zone today. And just that humanness brings us together. And then when I have clients that work with me over time, multiple times a year or year after year, you can see kind of the layers peeling off because they start to see that wasn't so scary. I am more beautiful than I allow myself to believe I am sometimes, right? And so that's kind of, in a nutshell, kind of what I love about what I do and what people can expect. And I hope that other people, when they're working with other photographers, can find that same kind of energy as well. It's important.
I love the way that you're expressing it, and for people who are listening to the episode, is Megan, his hands are moving and she's smiling. It's you can really see and feel the enthusiasm and the joy in what you do. I'm going to put my hand up. Now, I work a lot with resilience and confidence, but I'll put my hand up is I hate my photo being taken. I don't mind if you say, will you do a video? I'll do a video. And that I'm very happy to do. And I will talk off the cuff. You can just hold up a phone and say, will you just do a quick video? No problem. But can I take a photo of you? And it's like, actually, I need to go. I'm desperate to, any excuse to go. And I find that I'm I'm more myself with video than I am with an actual photo. But as I said, I know a lot of people really struggle with, as you said, being visible or being seen or having their photo taken. And it sometimes the idea of that corporate portrait is a great way, because you can just make sure you got the right makeup, your hair's right, and you just frozen in that moment. And that seems more controlled for the self than a more authentic photo, because you can pose. I guess posing then, and you've got that plain background, you know you have to do it, you might be cringing, but it's easier to do than to actually show yourself. So what would you share in somebody like me who really does not like that photo being taken, but can most probably bear corporate photo, but they're boring. They are boring, regardless of how perfect your makeup is or how great your hair is. They are boring, and you can see a corporate photo to a more natural photo. So what what advice or tips would you share to help those business owners who like, I want to get me out there. I don't want a boring portrait, but I'm also really don't want to have my photo taken.
Yeah, it's a great question, because so many people who are in the business world, they see and they know and they've heard that being out there more is better for them, because you're connecting, you're making that know, like, and trust with people. They're seeing your face. You don't have to plaster yourself everywhere. Let me really quickly remind people of that. You don't have to be all over your brand if that's totally not your thing, but you should be somewhere, like at least like on your about page on your website, have a photo of you, or have a couple posts here and there where people can see who you are and what you're doing. Because I have a quick little story. One time, I had been, growing my social community and networking in person, networking online, all these things. And long story short, I was at an in-person networking, and somebody came up to me. They're like, "Hey, Megan," and I was like, could not for the life of me recall who this person was. And I'm thinking, I'm really good with faces. Names sometimes might escape me, but faces, because of how visual I am, I'm like, I know I don't know this person, but they know me. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So before I could say something, she goes, "You probably don't even know who I am." And I'm like, thank goodness. And she goes, "And you're probably going to be mad at me because we know each other from social media and you know my business." And she said her business name. And I said, "That's hi, hello, hi, how are you?" But she had never put herself out there in any way, shape, or form. So I had no idea who she was. So all that to say is that, right, putting ourselves into positions where we are able to be seen is scary, but it is a kind of a necessary thing that can really help us. Now, back to your question of what can you do to get more comfortable and just maybe embrace it at least a little bit. A couple different things come to mind for me. For me, I was the same way. I didn't like talking. I'm on my stories all the time. If people follow me on my social media, I'm on there talking at least every other day. But if I look back to the beginning versions of me doing that, I was very stoic and I didn't talk as natural. I didn't use my hands as much. I didn't understand just how to be myself, and it showed. Same thing with photos. So what I started doing and what I tell people and clients in my community to do is just start showing up in different ways. The things that make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, start recording yourself talking about a topic on your business or something that you feel comfortable with. Maybe it's just something you love, like a specific flower or animal. Just start talking about it and then watch yourself back. Start seeing where you kind of are like, actually, I don't hate that angle. I like when the camera is a little bit higher and to my left a little bit. So maybe if I start doing that a little bit more often, I will embrace myself and I'll start feeling comfortable taking photos because I kind of know how I feel my best. Right. And so you don't have to post those videos or those photos, but just start playing with it. The other thing you could do is mirror work, right? You can start looking and seeing yourself in the mirror. Now, this can be sometimes triggering for people because it's the last thing we want to do is just like look at ourselves. We're like, no, I want to escape. Like you said, Natalie, like, I just want to like run out the back doors, out stage left and not exist in this moment. But the more that we do it, the more that we see ourselves kind of what the world sees us and allow ourselves to sometimes, debunk the thoughts that we're having in our heads, the more we get comfortable with it, And so from the photo standpoint of things, it's kind of the same thing. The more that we do it, the more that it becomes a little bit more comfortable, and really letting, like, sometimes getting people to laugh or let go in a photo session is the hardest thing to do, because they're like, hold on, I know that I look best from my left side, and if my smile is just so, and this, and so they're like holding on to that like image. And like you said, especially with like corporate photos or more traditional headshots versus kind of a more lifestyle branding in the essence kind of a image, you are kind of like trying to curate it. But what if you weren't? What if you went into even the most corporate of corporate photos and just allowed yourself to kind of like laugh a little, even if it's a fake laugh, because usually it turns into a real laugh. So there's these little tactics you can kind of do to find your real essence and who you are, and start to change the way that you see yourself back when you look at those photos, those videos, or whatever it is you're reviewing. And so it's not easy work at all. I'm very comfortable with seeing myself on video and in photos, but it doesn't mean that there's not ones that I'm going, what are you doing there? Why do you look like that? What is, what's this thing going on with this, that, or the other? It's never going to be just, I don't even really like the word perfect, but it's never going to be this perfect version of you. But what it does become over time is a softened acceptance, if you will, of yourself and the realities and the versions. And Natalie, I'm curious, because I think with the being more comfortable on video versus photos, what came to mind is a photo is a snapshot. So whatever you were looking like in that exact moment is what you were looking like in that exact moment, and that angle and that lighting and all of that. With video, you have a little more bandwidth. It's like, it's in motion. So maybe, there's something to that. It kind of was like interesting when you said that. I'm like, there is something to be said, because usually it's the opposite. Somebody's like, all right, I'll take a photo, whatever, I'll get it over with. But video, they're like, absolutely not. I'm never doing that ever in my whole entire life. What, are you kidding me? So there's got to be something, there's interesting thoughts to think about. But yeah, that's kind of some ideas and thoughts to anybody out there that's listening that might just want to be more comfortable in their skin, whether or not they're posting or putting out videos or photos. Even just being comfortable in yourself, doing some of those things can really help.
And I do think some of the things you mentioned earlier, the dancing, the movement, can also help. It's the take yourself away from your head into
Yes.
your body to be connected with, embodied in the moment, grounded, feeling the flow, and remove some of the executive function, thinking, obsessing, worrying about, is this the right angle? Is this the right angle? So that's, to me, like, obviously me and Natalie, we're very different. On this podcast, we often talk about, like, we get along so well, but we're very different. To me, that's where the brand photography, the lifestyle photography makes more sense, because I don't have to think about being photographed. Like, I can just goof around and
Yes.
really hope that one of those millions of photos you've taken is the right angle that can do the trick. That we can talk and we can joke around and I can just move freely without thinking, I'm looking at you. I'm not looking at a lens or trying to kind of, fake the fact that the camera does not exist. I can remove it and I can just have a good time. So I think for me, the dance was one of the things that triggered in my mind the possibility of like get more in your body.
Yes. 3000%. I am a huge proponent of just movement in general. Yes. I love it. Like, and that is another foreign thing for a lot of people too, unfortunately, right? Because we all have it intrinsically in us. I was just talking about this on a piece of content, and I was talking about like every little kid across the board, I think, has had a moment where they're just like, you just catch them and they're just dancing or they're just free in the moment. But as we get older and we hear things like, you can't be too silly, or you can't be this, or, you might look funny if you dance, or like whatever we're hearing, right? Or we just get in our own heads. We stop doing that so freely. And I'm the person, and I've danced like formally in dance classes my whole life and then taught for many years. So I have that formal side of me, but it doesn't mean that the human side is not still there, because people are like, well, of course it's easy for you to talk about wanting to dance to embrace yourself and get out of your mind, but it's not. Like that was a formal training. It was very specific. It's just like anything. If it was like piano, like hockey, whatever, the human side of getting out of your brain and going into your body and just dancing and allowing movement is a totally different experience. And I, even knowing that it's what makes me tick and what makes even my clients have a better experience when they're with me, it's still not always easy to do. But if we can keep it at the forefront of our mind, like right now I'm doing a 365-day dance challenge. No rules, no nothing. It's pick a song, one song, put it on sometime in your day, whether it's the morning, the middle of the day when you're feeling a little slumpy, at night because you didn't get all your energy out, do it. And so if anybody wants to join, just jump in. You don't have to do it at any specific time, whatever. But there is something about it that just shifts you out of this brain of ours that wants to, that's archaic, really, right? It's trying to keep us safe. It's trying to, help us, hedge our bets on what's about to happen or what feels good and what doesn't. And when we get into our body, we can start to chip away at knowing that, hey, this is safe. It's safe for me to try out what feels good. And you start to maybe appreciate your body differently. I'm going on a journey right now, just wanting to up my health a little bit and get a little bit more strong. And so I've been doing things to kind of challenge that. When I'm doing it, I'm seeing myself in the mirror, or I'm seeing myself in the moment of whatever, lifting the weight or doing the dance move or whatever it is. And I'm seeing like, oh, wow, I'm so grateful that my arms are able to do this, and wow, I went up a weight, now I can do 10 pounds instead of 8 pounds, like these little things. So when we're getting into our body, again, formal, not formal, in a class, in your living room, whatever it is, in the middle of a photo session, it's so healing to the little human that maybe was told that, they weren't good enough to be seen, or that, a certain body type is not safe to be in. That's all made up. That's not real. It's not real. So yeah, I love that you said that, because we got to get out of our head and into our bodies majorly.
And I also love that you touched on healing, because obviously we talk about, brand photography here. We talk about, representing ourselves in an authentic way for our business, possibly. But I love that you touched on healing, that, getting your photos taken is not only for entrepreneurs, it's not only for your business. There's something about building the confidence that really allows, as you said, the healing, finding ways of having a healthier life, allowing yourself, trusting yourself, building yourself, tapping into, the abundance resources that we have internally. So I would love to know a little bit more about your perspective, beyond then the photography, how you see the work that you do. And I know that, photography is one thing, confidence and speaking is another thing. How does that help people not only feel comfortable and get gorgeous pictures taken, but beyond in their lives, in their health and well-being and healing?
I'm huge on that. I've had my own healing journey that is, never ending. And I hope to continue just down the forward movement of healing. And as somebody who has, struggled and battled with anxiety my whole entire life since a child, and still do to this day, but I have much more of my own, hold on back on it. I've seen my own healing, and I've seen that photography can be healing because of that, because you see yourself in different lights. You see yourself from different versions, really, of yourself. I feel that dance movement, all of that really is just that. So whether or not you're, a business owner or not, or you are doing photos or not, healing is something that I think we can tap into at any time. And we just have to be willing and open to what it looks like, first and foremost. And second, we have to be willing to just kind of go, what is this going to do? I don't know what this is going to look like, but I know I'm not feeling good in X, Y, or Z. I'm not feeling good in my body. I'm not feeling good mentally. I'm not feeling good, maybe a little bit of all the things, right? And so being open to what that journey looks like is so beautiful, because it can be this beautiful myriad of avenues that we didn't even know we could go down, right? And so I love that you brought that up, because I believe that photography in itself is a healing modality. And some might think that feels a little of a far stretch, and I don't, I'll stand, on that. saying that it is very healing. And again, even if it's not a formal photo session, what can you do, right, to start to see yourself through photos? Or maybe it's not even photos of yourself, but photos of the world around you. Grab your phone, grab your, if you have a point and shoot camera laying around that from, back in the day when they were like super popular, you have a Polaroid camera. Walk around. This is flipping this on its head a little bit, but like walk around and take photos of things that just feel beautiful to you. Because when you start to see the little magic, kind of going back to what I was saying, I'm a sunbeam chaser. I have prisms and things and all that around my house. And when you start to find the little beauty in life, it starts to heal you as well. And so you might find you have a theme of things that you are drawn to taking photos of, right? Or you might find, if it isn't a little bit more of like the business side of things or formal way, that you might find a different path of your business because you saw something different in yourself or the way that your business operates because of a photography session, or you just playing around and seeing what that looks like or feels like. Same with videos and content, right? Natalie, you're more comfortable on video. So somebody who might feel that way and they might be drawn to that, just start playing with it, pick an audio or a sentiment or a theme and just create. I think we feel that we have to have so much rigidity when we are healing, when we are playing, when we are building a business or a mission. It doesn't have to be that rigid, we can heal in so many different facets within all of that. And so, yeah, I would just urge people to, I don't know, really just play. I think we need more of that. We absolutely need more of that. We just do. We're too stoic sometimes as adults, and we just get to being like, just going through the motions. But what if we were just embracing the motions, and just going along for the ride, So hopefully that kind of answers your question. But I think it is so beautiful when you tap into something like that as a non-traditional healing modality and see what it can do for you.
I love that. And it's just, when you talk about video or taking photos as healing, whether it's taking photos of things that interest you or taking photos of yourself, it's a great way to see yourself over time. Even if you do like a 30-day challenge and every day I'm going to take a selfie in a different way, or put a stand on and take a full shot, you get to see yourself in different modes or different days when you're in different emotions. So that's what sort of came to my mind when you were talking about it, and I thought, wow, that makes so much sense. But my question is more, we're always curious of what gets people starting on their journeys. And you a dancer, and as you said, you've danced all your life, you've taught dancing. How does a dancer become a photographer? I mean, what's that bridge there? It's what got you from doing dancing to now becoming a photographer. And I know you said you touched on all the different, weddings, kids and all that, and found that one. But what has your journey been that's got you to where you are today?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And it's even more multifaceted than that, really. And so to keep it kind of succinct as possible, when I was a kid, I obviously loved dancing. I was a creative kid. I was kind of dramatic. I always had nicknames like Mona and Tallulah because of Tallulah Bankhead, the actress way back in the day. And I was just very dramatic. But as time went on, my anxiety, the people around me, kind of not on purpose, but I kind of felt very like squished down, right? When I got into the point of going to college, I'm like, I don't know who I am, what I'm doing. You ask an 18-year-old, like, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? You're like, I don't know what that even means. You don't, that's a whole other topic. But anyways, my degrees, I went to school and I got a degree in interior design. And then my bachelor's is in human development and family services. So like counseling, teaching younger, like preschool, kindergarten, things like that. And so I was doing all this stuff, right? And I've got these degrees and I'm like, okay, like I don't really want to do much with the design degree. I love doing it. I love this is my actual home. I love color. I love doing that, but it wasn't what I wanted to do as a career. But then I fell into kind of teaching preschool and then teaching dance, all this stuff, because I had that background of education. And I just found myself, for anybody who's feeling maybe stuck in what they're doing, even if it is in their own business, or maybe it's not, maybe it's in, a everyday 9 to 5, whatever we want to call it, corporate job. I found myself as I'm teaching and something I thought maybe I'll do this for my whole life, right? And I just kept having nudges of, I don't feel quite myself. And I know that's kind of vague, but I just didn't feel so fulfilled. I felt kind of ill from time to time, just kind of not feeling my best. I'd still go to work, I'd still do my job, I'd still do what I needed to do, but I wasn't feeling good. And at one point when I was teaching preschool, I just had to take a step back, and I actually nannied for a little bit because it was kind of a natural segue from that world I was in of teaching dance and teaching preschool by day and dance by night. And I segued into nannying because it gave me a freedom to not have 40 hours of just like straight going into the, classroom. And I had a little bit more wiggle room, and I got quiet. And I'm like, what's the problem, Megan? Like literally, like I was kind of getting like tough love to myself. Like, what is the actual problem? You went to school for this, you love kids, you love this, you love all these worlds that you're in, but you just don't feel like you're happy or you're always excited, about it. And let's be honest, like we're not always going to be excited about our work. Let me take a little quick notion, a little moment of that. Because even right now, I love what I do, but some days I'm just like, I don't want to do this, right? So I just want to make sure that we don't get too toxic positivity over there of like, there's something out there that's going to make me happy all the time. But what was really happening was I just was like, there's more for me. I feel like I'm not feeling as creative as I could be. And I don't know what that looks like. So long story short, nannied, went back into the dance world more full force. That was like my full-time kind of career path for another 5 or 6 years. And then things changed. The rug got pulled underneath me in a lot of different ways with my job and with just like where I was mentally and physically and all the things. And I was like, what's next? And the answer was starting my own journey. And the photography came in many years before that, just playing around with cameras, taking some workshops, learning how to shoot manually, all that stuff. And it was always back there just as fun and as a hobby. And at this turning point in my career, I thought, maybe that's it. Like, I don't really know if that's it or not. Can I really make a business out of it? That sounds scary. So I found myself literally in 2018, it was the end of September going into October, going, I don't know where my next dollar is coming from. I don't know how to build a business. I never thought I would be a business owner. My anxiety tells me this is the worst idea ever. My need for wanting to be safe, and we had just bought a new house after getting married, was like, that's absolutely bonkers that you're about to even think about this. But I did. And so at that time, what brought me into the empowerment world, the branding world, was when I didn't know where my next dollar was coming from, which I don't suggest doing, by the way. I also had a little bit of a safety net with having a husband who had a stable job. I went to a conference that was all about empowering. It was, women-led, women kind of centered empowerment conference in San Diego, California. Went to this not knowing what I was doing, and met so many people and got into this world of just seeing that there's people who think differently, who think bigger, who see all the sides of themselves and other people. And I'm like, whoa. And when I was there, people were like, oh, is there any photographers in the group? Because we had like a little Facebook group for anybody attending this event. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm a photographer. What's up? And they were like, we're going to be in San Diego. We would love to have like lifestyle photos on the boardwalk, on the beach. That would be something we would love to have. We live in like landlocked in Canada. We don't have any, wherever they were coming from. And I'm like, I guess I can do that. I don't know what that means. I just didn't know what that meant. Took the leap, fell in love with doing photos of just like one-on-one or small groups of people and bringing them to life and their message and just who they were. And I'm like, what is this? Like this divine intervention of just going to this thing when I probably had no business going to this thing, and that kind of changed the trajectory of my life. For even after that, for the first couple of years of my business, I still did all the photography and all the things, but just to be able to, create an income and have stability. But then I knew down the line that I needed to kind of niche down. And the more I got, feedback from my world, my clients, people saying, you bring out the essence of people. I don't know what it is. When I see your photos, when I follow businesses that have done photography with you, I just know it's your work, which is as a photographer and a creative, it's so beautiful. But what that meant to me was you're on the right track. And the coaching kind of came, and speaking kind of came naturally because I was doing that work already in this other form, aka photography, that people are like, do you want to speak about, you know, showing up and being seen and da-da-da? And I'm like, again, my anxiety was like, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? In college, I couldn't, my last class, or my last speech in like speech or communications class, I had to do privately in front of the teacher because I was so nervous. I could not do it. I emailed her and asked her. So that version of me was like, are you kidding me? You know, getting on stage with 200 people, or, you know, even 5 people. I was like, no. But something in me was like, sure, yeah, why not? And I did it. And so for anybody out there who's just feeling called or nudged, or people are asking them for something and they're kind of going, that feels really intriguing to me, but it also feels very foreign, play with it. See what that version of you looks like. What's the worst thing that can happen? If you say yes to that type of client or that speaking engagement or that whatever it is, and it doesn't feel like a fit for you, you'll know because you'll leave. And that's how, one of the reasons why I knew like doing weddings and stuff like that wasn't part of my thing. I kept driving home from weddings crying. And I'm always honest, like I will tell you the exact honest moment of my life. I was crying, and it wasn't because I didn't enjoy myself or I didn't love the couple and the family that I was working with, but I was like, this is, my energy is not feeling right. So you'll know when something's not right for you. And do I still once in a while, for like the gem of a client, you know, take on a wedding because they're just soul clients once in a blue moon, right? But like, I absolutely know it's not something I'm marketing, putting energy towards doing on a regular basis. 100% not. And you know, so whether it's good, bad, you'll if you listen, right? And I think when we become more out of our minds and into our bodies, we are able to listen better and understand what those nudges are, versus going, I just ate some bad food earlier, that's why I feel a little bit off. You're like, no, maybe I actually am not meant to be doing this right now. So
you really touched on the power of the yes. You know, going to this conference and, you know, people saying, is there a photographer? And you could have just thought, well, is there a photographer in the room? Because I just dabble. I'm not,
yeah.
If you don't have that label that you've given yourself as I am a photographer, then you like looking around. But that power of yes is saying, well, I take photos, let's see where it takes me. Let's see where it does. And the power of the yes is very powerful. And sometimes we say yes to something that maybe we should have said no to. But it's also about trying out new things. As you said, you did the kids, the weddings, but you found that wasn't where you needed to spend your energy, or you wanted to spend your energy, but you wouldn't have known if you hadn't tried it. And it is, I mean, life is a journey. It's not a straight, lovely American roads. They're lovely and straight. Route 66 that just goes straight through the desert. Try an English road. I don't think they have a straight road anywhere. It's all curves and hairpins and potholes and all sorts. And the thing is, that's what life is about. It isn't a straight, okay, I'm going from A to B and it's just going to be smooth sailing the whole way. It isn't. But it's, well, the cliche is life's the journey, not the destination. But that is true. And it's, yes, you make mistakes. And the great thing about mistakes is you learn from them. They're part of learning. How do you know something's not right unless you try it? And if it's not putting your life in danger, and if it's not life-threatening or anything, give it a go. And as you said, I mean, I do public speaking as well. I mean, the first few speeches that I gave, I mean, I have nightmares from uni, I have nightmares from school. And if you had told me about 10, 13, 14 years ago that I would be A, doing videos and loving them, B, standing on stage and speaking to people, chances are I would have punched you and never spoken to you again. So the thing is just because something has that fear in you, like you said, that little voices, the whatever it is, those beliefs that are coming in, it doesn't mean it's the wrong thing. but try it. Given you're not the same person you were when it didn't work. But you, as you said, you will know if you try something and it's still not feeling right. I mean, if you driving home from a job or from a client or something and you in tears, well, maybe you should assess it out like you did, driving home from weddings, from being the photographer at weddings, crying. Yeah, maybe there needs some thought and some processes to happen. But you wouldn't have known that if you hadn't experienced it and gone through it and made that part of your journey. So I love how you shared those stories and really showed the power of the yes. Like you said, landing up at this conference on empowerment. I mean, yeah, how does somebody who's being a nanny land up somewhere there? It's just finding those opportunities or being pushed in a direction and going with it. And I think you've really described that really well. So thank you for sharing that and just reminding, myself and Lenka, but as well as our listeners, that it is about embracing, I guess, the unknown and just seeing where you're going to land up.
Yes. And too, when you were saying that, it reminded me of like the thought of most of us wouldn't go into any store and walk out with a pair of jeans without trying it on. I know I wouldn't. I am not even 5 foot tall. I've got an athletic build. I got a lot, to consider. I'm not sure of what size or style ever looks right or feels right, more importantly, right? And so it's no different, right? You can't quite write something off or write something on really for yourself until you give it a try. You just can't know. You have to try on a different style. You have to try on a different version. You have to try on a different offering for your business or your clients. If you're feeling called to shifting, then try it. There's literally not much to lose, right? Unless you're doing something that's, really not kind of in the right realm. But then again, you're going to know that, and you're, take safety precautions if you're doing anything like super major or investing a lot of money or something like that. Of course, do a little market research, do the things that are going to kind of help you safeguard. But when it comes from kind of more of just an intrinsic knowing of like where I'm going, you wouldn't walk in and just grab a pair of jeans out, most people anyways, and just walk out hoping for the best. You got to do a little try on, do a little something.
I like that. Do a little something. That's I love that. And yeah, you're right. It is about trying. It is about really, giving yourself those opportunities. But now, what I'd love to know is you've started this journey. You've finding your feet, you're finding your niche, you're finding, where you're belonging in your world and who you are. You've done the empowerment conference and you are now on a journey. What keeps you going on this journey, and what gives you inspiration, and what directions or do you find that you'd like to dabble in? I don't know where that word comes from but what like I said, what is it that keeps you going? What is it that gets you to, I want that next nugget, or I want that next bit of, read that next book from that author, or listen to that next episode, or go to that next conference? What keeps you on the journey? Because it's not an easy journey. It can be overwhelming. It can be exhausting sometimes. It's peeling an onion. If anybody's cut an onion, it makes you cry. It's not pleasant. And it's the same when we are on an empowerment journey or personal development or spiritual or whatever journey it is. It does require work. It's not just click your fingers and it all happens miraculously. There's some books or episodes or whatever that you might be listening to or reading, you're thinking, what the hell was that? And then you read somebody else or hear somebody else and you're like, wow, yes, I want more. I want to find more. I know Lenka and I are huge bookworms, and there's authors I've recommended to her and she's like come back to me and goes, I don't get it. I don't see it. I don't understand it. Just what the hell was that? And that's fine. But it's what, it's very easy to think, well, that didn't make sense. That's it. I'm done. Close the book. That's it. I'm gonna stay where I am. What keeps you going?
A good question. And I feel like it changes maybe by the season that I'm in too, right? But overall and overarching, what keeps me going is kind of, I think where I'm at in my healing journey has helped a lot too. Because I think maybe 10 years ago, I would have gave up, right? Because I would have thought, oh, this is hard. There are really hard days as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a creative, as a whatever hat or version, adjective you want to put on yourself. Days are hard. Life's not fair. It's just not. It's not, nothing's just going to always feel easy, even on the easiest of days, And so what keeps me going is a couple of things. One is kind of that's like kind of going back to it. And I know it kind of sounds a little bit cheesy, but for me, it's just really true. That's still small voice. I was talking with one of my literal lifelong best friends earlier this week, actually, ironically, and she was just talking about how her husband was like, I think you would really be great at like creating content and like doing this and doing that. You're really great at developing people and their, all these things in her work. And she's just like looking at him going, that's not really what I want to do. Like, I just don't. And he was like, oh, that's just your anxiety talking and da 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 da. And she used me as an example. And she was like, well, see, here's the thing. Me and Megan are very similar as far as like how our anxiety kind of affects us and what we've, went through with it and all the things. But she is doing it because she feels so called to doing it. I don't feel called to doing that. Like, that's not the space that I want to be in. And I don't. So for me, it's kind of that thing of kind of cutting through, everything and kind of going, what is real for me? And the reality for me is that I feel drawn to doing the things that I'm doing. Now, the things that keep me going that are a little bit more tangible are, for instance, my nieces and nephews. So I am married, but we have no children, but I have 9 nieces and nephews, and they range from, at this moment in time, 26 years old to 4 years old. And I love them all dearly, and I want to show them what's possible, right? And I want to, allow them to have the freedom to know that any way or path or version that they go in life is safe. Because my parents were of like the boomer age, right? Some of them were really just like, a lot of the conversation was like, you get a job, you either die or you retire from it. And literally for me, with my parents, that's literally what happened. One passed away and one retired, from their lifelong work. And it wasn't even work that they just did. Like, it wasn't necessarily my mom's. She ended up really embracing and loving that much. My dad's was just kind of, it was a job. And which is fine. There's time and a place for that as well. But what I'm saying is that was the messaging I had, was you just do one thing, you get it done, and that's just life. But really, life is about living. Your job, your title, the amount of money you make, none of that in the grand scheme of it really freaking matters, right? It matters that we're taking care of our hearts, our minds, our energies. And of course, if you want to do work in this life, whether it is, through a everyday, corporate job, or through a business, or through a passion or a mission that is not even monetary, that is beautiful. And that's what we really need to take care of and keep at the forefront of our minds. So for me, it's showing others that I care so deeply about that is a possibility for them as well. And then just going back to that, like movement and dance and things that I love, that keeps me going on the absolute worst days.
One of the things that keeps coming back to me as you're speaking, it's really the importance of knowing yourself, of knowing what your values are, knowing what you really makes you happy, what things really lit your fire, because then we know that if there's something that is motivating us, that we can do scary things, we can step outside our comfort zone. For me, a massive life lesson was reading the book Quiet from Susan Cain about introverts, because I'm an introvert and I've always used it for a long time as a label, an excuse of I'm not doing certain things because I'm an introvert. And then really reading it and learning that, we can do anything. We need to manage our energies, of course. But if we know why we're doing it, if we're clear about what is it that drives us, what is the mission, what is really the intention that we're putting behind wanting to create content beyond video, be active, that whatever it is, then we can do so much more. We can really step so much more outside of our comfort zone than we would if other people tell us, well, you should be doing that. We see other people on the internet doing it where we should be doing that. Or here on the podcast, we're very much believers of like, we should not be shooting all over ourselves, but lean more into, I really want to. I have a desire to. I feel inspired to. So I'm, just really listening to me is giving me, again, the reassurance of if I know who I am, and, photography and the work you do can really help people know who they are, because then they can show up more confident, more strongly, and do scary things a lot more because they really know themselves better.
Yes. And something that just came to mind is two things that we in our household is very important. Not even just in our household, but it's transpired into my business. But clarity is the root of success. The more clear we are with ourselves and our needs, our wants, our desires, all of that, the better. And clear is kind. So be clear to yourself in what you are looking for. Be clear to other people in your intentions and your communication, in all of that, whether it's your audience or community in your business or your family and friends, whatever it is, the more clear we are, the more kind we are to everybody, including ourselves, and the less kind of stress, unnecessary stress we'll bring to ourselves, because we're just kind of cutting through all the BS that so often we deal with in life and business, because we're just all like skirting around going, well, what do they need? What do I need? And it's like, well, if we step into the what do I need side of it and kind of be strong in our mission or promise to what that is. I'm big on also creating a personal mission statement. We know that for a business, but what's your personal mission statement? What is that? What do you stand for? What do you look to have out of this world, this life? Like, I would urge people to write that down and talk to themselves about that and live like when they're making choices, go back to that. Does this serve my mission and my promise to myself and my life? Or is it taking me too far off the beaten path and I'm just doing it because so-and-so said so? Or I saw this post one time that they said, if I did this, it would be the best thing I ever did for my business. And it's like, is it though? Those really like strong, bold, if you do this, this will happen statements really irk me, because it's like, there's so many different variations and things that can be a part of that outcome being that or not being that. And so we have to be careful. And so if we have those personal mission statements, we have clarity, or we at least work to have more clarity, we're going to have muddy days. We're going to have muddy waters. I have them all the time. I just had one a couple months ago. Who am I? What am I doing with my life? And why? But it was just, it was a bad day. I needed to listen to my energy. And when I got clear and kind with myself, I thought, oh, I just need to take a nap. I need to make, maybe take off some pressure. I need to get more intentional with my body and feeling a little bit more fit and healthy. It was not really that I didn't know who I was. It was just that I was in a little hazy cloud because of other external and internal things going on. And once I cut through that and got to that clarity, success became more apparent. And by success, I mean feeling better, doing things that made me move in the direction I felt like I wanted to move in.
That is beautiful and so perfect. Hop on to our Patreon account to get this episode's amazing and wonderful gold nugget. Now, for our listeners, if they've thinking, wow, I want some of this energy, I'm needing to get photos, but help, or they just want to connect with you or be in your circle, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I am always hanging out on social media. The place I'm at the most is Instagram, but Instagram, Facebook is kind of where I hang. And my handle is Megan Holly Creates. And so it is a place where it's just community. It's about all of my content is to whether I can work with you or not, whether we're local or not. My biggest thing is community. I want to cultivate a safe space for people, and you'll see that in my community, in my content, in what people are saying and doing in the comments, because we're all just one big happy family. And so I would love to have anybody who just wants to just kind of link arms. Like the more of us, the merrier. If you want to link arms, come hang out with me on Instagram, on Facebook. Again, that's Megan Holly Creates.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for sharing that and letting our listeners to know where to connect with you. But here in the podcast, we're all about finding more life in your life, and we always want a little bit more from our guests. So I would love to ask you if you could tell us, maybe it is just for today, for now, maybe the answer it's not universal, but what gives you more life in your life?
Oh my goodness, what gives me more life? Laughing. I love laughing. Laughing till I cry is probably about the favorite thing that I could do. I feel like I don't get to that level enough, and I want to find out how to. I have one friend that unfortunately we don't live local anymore. We grew up together, that I'm constantly crying when I'm with her, in a good way, laugh crying. So laughing gives me more life, and I will do anything to make other people laugh as well. I like to be the goofball. I share the middle. I'm like one of four. So me and my brother that share the middle with me, we are the true goofballs of the family. And so I believe that that brings so much more life and so much more levity to even the hardest and, haziest of days. And just surrounding myself with things that feel good. I'm all about my space feeling good, putting colors in my space. If you're watching the video, you can see that this is my actual office, and putting things that feel good around you. Natalie's got these beautiful flowers on, like, it's just what feels good. Like, be intentional without your space. I had somebody say the one time, they're like, she came to my house for something and she goes, I just feel like my house is boring. It's just a bunch of brown. And I don't think about it. I just buy the lamp, or I buy the pillow or the sofa or whatever, and that's it. But you are intentional about it. I'm like, yes. And a lot of my stuff is thrifted, and I'm intentional about it because I want it to feel good, not just be functional. I want it to feel good. So that makes me have a little bit more life too, is just being, really intentional about kind of who and how and what I surround myself with.
That's amazing. And yeah, it's brilliant. So thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for your time, your wisdom, your knowledge, your experiences, your stories, and just sharing your energy with us today. We really appreciate it. You flitted over from the pond, the other side of the pond, as they say. But it's really great to to hear how people have the experiences. So thank you so much for sharing that all with us today. We really appreciate your time. For our listeners, what have you got from today? What aha moments have you got? What has inspired you from the conversation today? Are you somebody who hates that camera being pointed at you, or do you love the camera and just love taking those selfies, love taking those pictures? We would love to hear your thoughts on anything that we've spoken about today, whether you are a camera fiend or a camera, no, I'm hiding from the camera, or you love videos but don't like stills, or you still have those corporate photo type images on your website and all that. We would just love to hear what you've got from today. And until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Here is your reminder about our Patreon, where you get all our really beautiful gold nuggets. And today we had a fantastic gold nugget to share. Subscribe to Patreon. The link is in the description below. Hop into the gold nugget section to access all our wonderful gold nuggets. There is also a free section where you can access snippets from past episodes, as well as some great content with tips, advice, and beautiful and wonderful wisdom. Come and join up and be part of the Into Your Life community. We would love to see you there.